This was the game that, at the beginning of the season, we were thinking this was going to be like a top 5 matchup, and that's how it was played.
Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin. With me is Jeff Dover, and let's talk football.
We're a couple of average football fans that watch college and the NFL. We hope to earn your like and subscribe today. This is our review of an Indiana-Penn State game. What are your initial thoughts?
So I think that's Mendoza's Heisman moment.
The winning touchdown throw at the end? Yeah.
No, the winning drive specifically.
Oh, the drive too. Yeah, and the throw. Yeah, no, for sure. And this was the game that, the beginning of the season, we were thinking this was going to be like a top 5 matchup, and that's how it was played, even though Penn State's now 3-6. But hats off to them for how they played this game, because they played inspired and they looked like the preseason top 5 team for this game.
They looked like how they looked against Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that looked like what you would what everyone thought Penn State was going to be. This was if you just sub out like how the sort of season went with all the losses and then Drew Aller going down, and if all you saw was this game and the Oregon game, and you didn't know how the rest of the season went, you're like, oh, so Penn State's clearly a top 5 team if you just saw those 2 games.
Well, and I really like the play by Grunkmeyer. We can talk. There's a lot of specifics to get to this game, including like the catch of the year and a few other things. And Grunkmeyer, he looked amazing, but I was also really impressed by what they didn't ask him to do too much. This is how the offense, I felt like, was supposed to look like for Penn State most of the season. It's like lean on Singleton and Allen, and then open up the play action to throw some of the tight ends or receivers that you had. But he was great, and this was really the Penn State defense, I felt like, was the story. That's the first note I have here. In the first half, this could have got ugly quickly, but it was really Penn State's defense which kept them in it in the beginning, which allowed them to have a comeback near the end.
Oh yeah, so both defensive lines were causing all kinds of havoc. Now Penn State sacked them 3 times. It felt like they were back there all game long.
Yes.
Well, they had 8 TFLs, but they were harassing the hell out of Mendoza all game. This was the biggest test it seems like Mendoza's had with massive pressure all game from the defensive front, and specifically the game winning touchdown pass. He was getting hit. He had a guy right all over him when he threw that. That's why that play is so improbable. And the 2 plays before that, he had 2 passes batted down. One of them almost got picked. So it was, but he just hung in there, and my God, that final play. But yeah, this Penn State defense showed up. I mean, they showed up. This looked like the top 10 game.
Yeah, and Indiana's defense, that's a good point too that you mentioned. That they were really the point of the game, the most important thing in the game for the first 3 quarters, right? Because they were not letting Penn State do anything. Most of the yards that Penn State got was in the 4th quarter with those 2 scores, and they really held them in check for a large portion of the game. I had it also written down here that this game felt over several times. It was when it was sort of 17-7 Indiana, I'm like, oh, it's over. And then it was 20 to something. I'm like, it's over. And then when Penn State scored late, I was like, oh, maybe it's over. So there was a really good game back and forth. This is a great example where the box score doesn't match up with that, because the box score is very even between both teams, but it felt like a tale of 2, the first 3 quarters was all Indiana, and then the 4th quarter was all Penn State.
Yeah, so Penn State had 336 total yards. I think 200 of them came in the final 20 minutes. So the end of the 3rd and then throughout the 4th. So they came on huge. Like you said, this is a tale of 2 different games plus a drive. So
yes.
So for the first 2.5 quarters, Indiana's just on them. Now, it doesn't mean Penn State's playing bad. Penn State's keeping this thing close with that defense. It was tough sledding for the Indiana offense against this defense the whole way. Yeah. They were just making it really, really hard. And then but again, they're hanging in there. They're slowly chipping away here. So we're 7-7, then we're 10-7, then we're 17-7, then we're 27. So we're moving along here, despite how hard Penn State's making it. And specifically to your point here, Indiana won the middle 4. So Jesus Christ. So Katron Allen. So IU gets a field goal with 2:28 left in the 2nd quarter. then Katron Allen fumbles on
Mhm.
with a minute left in the first on his own. What do we have here? 22-yard line, and on that play, it's like just a bubble screen thing, whatever, out to the well, he just throw it into the flats, right? And
Mhm.
he's like fighting for yards, fighting. First of all, his one leg's already tied up. He's not going to get any more yards. And this
Yeah.
is something I've mentioned this before. This is something that really good running backs do, where they refuse to go down. And I understand that's like I understand the fight to stay up, but it's not like he's advancing the ball. He's just like his one foot is trapped on the guy has him, but
Mhm.
his one other foot is free. And he's just like dodging people and spinning around, but he's not actually moving forward. It's like, dude, just go down. Like at
Mhm.
this point, the play is over. And the only thing that could possibly happen is you drop the ball. And that's what happened.
Yeah, no, and you mentioned this before, and it's really tough because the running back is one of the characteristics that they'd like to be is a tough running back, like not going down in first contact, fighting for the extra yard, always falling forward, right? Like that's a characteristic you want in your running back. It just seems, which is great 9 times out of 10, but then that 10th time when you're clearly not going to advance the ball anymore, like and the guy's got your one leg wrapped up, like that's the one time where you do have to take what you've got at that point and go down because the only bad stuff can happen the more you stay upright there.
Well, and context. There's a minute left in the half. You're
Mhm.
nowhere. It's not like you're on the 1 yard line fighting for a touchdown. I can kind of
Mhm.
understand that. You've got the entire field to go. You're on your own 22. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Just get to the. Also, you're killing time. Like the
Yep,
more you
that's
stay up,
true.
the more time's burning off the clock. So it was just like to your point. I appreciate the effort, but you got to put it in context. It's not the time to be fighting for yards and fighting for yards. And then IU scores a touchdown off of that. So
Yeah.
it's just that's a killer at the end of the first half. That's just a killer.
Yeah, that was the note that I have here is that and all turnovers are killers. And but when you're a team that, again, at the beginning of the season, this was supposed to be a really good defensive team leaning on Singleton and Allen like that, and that's where turnovers would just kill you because it's not the dynamic passing attack. That's not the game you want to play. You really want to have a ball possession type game, more on that when we cover the Iowa Oregon game. But
Mm.
it's and so that's why the turnover, especially with such a good running back, was such a killer at that point.
Yeah. One major missing person here was Elijah Surratt was out, so we
Mhm.
obviously we were wondering if he was going to be back. But then Charlie Becker just stepped up, and holy smokes, did he play great!
That's another note that I have here. It's the Charlie Becker coming out party because he had, I think, 7 catches in his career going into this game. I want to say he's a sophomore, and then but he's had 7 and then for 118 yards and looked great. Like and sort of quickly looked like he earned the trust for Fernando and was regularly targeted too, which is good for him. He looks fantastic.
And another receiver that stepped up was Pena on Penn State. He had 99
Hmm.
yards, and this is one of the transfers, the one from Syracuse that I think they were hoping would look like this, and he
Hmm.
looks like it way too late, in the season. But this is what they thought they were getting. I'm wondering. I mean, geez, I'm wondering. Is this offense actually that much different with this quarterback? Because they in the second half they were killing Indiana on the play action pass, and
Yeah.
Grunkenmeyer was on point. Like he was hitting everyone in stride. Like that to me in the second half, that's what they were hoping the Penn State offense was going to be all year.
Yeah, no, this is the best. Again, hats off to Penn State because you're going into this, you're 3-5. The coach has been fired. Like you're always concerned about motivation, not sure what the team's going to look like. Other teams have quit, before. Not saying Penn State has, but other teams have. And so for them to come out and play so inspired, and I think to your point, I think that offense, I mean, at least for this game, this offense looked better with Grunkmeyer versus Aller. I think, and part of it is because they were playing really well. The defense played well. They were running the ball really well. They weren't asking Grunkmeyer to do too much, but oh man, like I think it's just as good, if not better, with him there instead of Aller, to be honest. Like I think he's a really good thrower. And and he's a true freshman. He's still going to be learning a lot, but he looks the part. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it looked. I mean, once it got rolling in the second half, I mean, both defenses are really good, and both
Yeah.
defenses were giving each other fits throughout the first half. So, okay, so here's a perfect example of it. So, on the So IU gets a field goal with 2:28 left in the second quarter, and this is the drive right before the Katron Allen fumble,
Mhm.
and so IU gets to the red zone. So okay, so they get PSU gets a sack on third down in the red zone, but a defensive holding negates the sack, and it gives IU first and goal. I can't remember. It was like somewhere like inside the 10. So then they go for run for no gain. Then they get a sack. Then they get a false start, and
Mhm.
then a short pass where he's completely under duress. The Penn State's all over him, and then they have to settle for a field goal, and that's right before the Katron Allen fumble. And so
Mhm.
we're only 10-7 at that point. So like
Mhm.
late in the first half, this is a completely even game. And
Mhm.
to me, that fumble just ruins it, because then you get a touchdown, and then to your point, the winning the middle, let's say 4, the opening drive in the third quarter, Penn State throws a interception, and then IU
Yeah.
gets another field goal. Now they hold them to a field goal, right? They hold them to a field
Yes.
goal again, but still, it's just you that's a 10-point swing there with that fumble.
That was gonna be, if depending on if Penn State ended up winning, right? Like if Indiana doesn't have that drive at the end, then that was gonna be probably the talk of the game, was that a couple times where Indiana had a short field and Penn State held them to field goals. So like,
Mm-hmm.
because if Penn State wins this 24-20, but Indiana really dominated most of the game, most of the time of possession and the yards up until that point, like that would have been key. So it's really, Indiana's fortunate that they were able to overcome those, like the turnaround and the quick stops there, and just from settling for field goals.
Yeah, and that drive right before the Allen fumble, they had him. He has a guy in the corner of the end zone,
Hmm.
and the DB just was hand checking, just swatted, just got in his way enough to make that like an impossible catch. So that could have gone touchdown, and then to end the half, and another touchdown to open the third. But after that interception, again, Penn State held them to a field goal. So you're right. That could have been, you're right. If Penn State won, it could have been those two moments there on either side of the half where they held them to field goals instead of touchdowns. But
Yeah.
it didn't work out that way.
The other note that I have here is that both 16s for Penn State looked awesome. There's the tight end Dinkins, who I haven't really seen much of, but he's a senior, but he looked really great. And then King Mack on defense also had a really good game, and he
Mm-hmm.
was all over the place. He looked great.
Yeah. So the other thing I have here is play action was working. So like so much of this run game for Penn State started turning on in the second half here,
Hmm.
and so moving forward for IU, I mean, again, it's not like they gave up a ton of yards, but they definitely had them guessing throughout that last 20 minutes. It's the
Yeah.
IU, as good as IU's front seven was, they definitely Penn State just had them for a while there.
Well, and that was something that, again, I don't know if it's a Grunkmeyer thing or a Franklin thing, but that's the most open I've seen Penn State's offense throw it around. Like I think in the first three quarters, it's like, we're in this, like, hold on to the ball, run the ball, don't ask Grunkmeyer to do too much. But then in the fourth quarter, it's sort of like, screw it, let's let it fly, because it really didn't seem like Indiana was prepared for that, like those two drives where they because it was back to back touchdowns almost, I think. So it's good for them for doing that. Like, that's what everyone was sort of, they have enough talent to do that on offense, and it's just they haven't been able to before, and it's one of the things that got Franklin fired. So hats off to them for executing as well as they did on offense, even though they
Yeah,
lost, which is really still, Indiana won this game, right, from the and with probably the catch of the year at the end of the game.
I'm not sure there's going to be a better one, but yeah, you're right. In the they Penn State goes field goal, touchdown, and IU throws an interception, a bad one
Yeah.
in between there, and that's when the game looked like, okay, Penn State's got the momentum. This is the avalanche coming, and
Hmm.
this was, I thought, man, my God, okay, they get the ball with 2 minutes. This is all going to happen right here. This is the
Yeah.
Heisman drive. Before he puts that drive together, the only way they're winning is if it is a Heisman caliber, because I doubt it was going to be busting a long run. It was going to have to be
No.
Mendoza. And speaking of long runs, when Singleton goes for that 60-yard run, the umpire kind of hip checks D'Angelo Pons. Now, I'm not going to say he was going to make the tackle. Well, he eventually did make the tackle, but he might have made it a lot sooner or slowed him up that somebody might have caught him sooner. Doesn't mean they weren't going to score a touchdown. It's just a bummer. I'm sure IU fans were furious when they saw that the umpire's trying to get out of the way. Instead, he just set the perfect block to spring Allen for like Singleton for 60 yards there.
Yeah. No, and so, really this looked like two really good teams. Like it looked like two top 5 teams going for it. And it took a Heisman caliber drive at the end to win this game, which is what you would expect from two really good teams, right? It's just that Penn State was on this day was the best 3-5 team I've ever seen, play.
Oh yeah.
And it took and especially with that game-winning drive started with a sack, which is crazy because it normally, that's really going to derail a lot of winning possessions. But had a 22-yard pass after that, had an incompletion, 12-yard pass, another incompletion, 29-yard pass, and then the 17-yard pass for the touchdown, which is fantastic. So that's that was an incredible run by him and to do that. And it took how much duress he was under Mendoza with that pass at the end, because there was one guy mid-tackling him. There was another guy who was up in there too. And the defender on the wide receiver was in a really good position. Like that the only way that gets completed is if it's that high at the back of the end zone, and the wide receiver did an amazing job keeping 1 foot or 2, depending on how you looked at it, in there for the catch. Excuse me.
We've got, yeah, you're right. Starts with a sack. Then we got, like you said, a 22-yard pass completion, a 29-yard pass completion, the 17-yarder to Charlie Becker.
Yeah.
And he gets the huge 1 foot in. It was the only catch you're going to see better is the one that scored the touchdown. Like,
that's right. That's a really good point.
It's just Mendoza was throwing darts the whole way down. It's almost like he just don't let him think about it.
Yeah.
Like just has to happen.
Right. This is what, amazing quarterbacks do. Like when you have to have a possession, you abandon the run game. And you tell them to go out there and get it for you. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what they do. That's what like Mahomes does. Like if you're Kansas City, like that's what, that's what really good teams with a really good quarterback, it's you put them in their hands and then that's it. And if there's ever a time where the defense like completely sells out for the pass and they audible to a run, like that's fine. But like you could tell, like this was like they put it in Mendoza's hands and to tell him to get it done.
Yep. So, all right, what can we say about both teams? I actually had a note, but before like you came back and won, my note was, so James Franklin can't win the big game, but the interim coach can. That was like and I had to scratch it out when they came back and won.
Yeah.
But so I mean, obviously that doesn't change anything about their coaching search. It just must have killed Penn State fans to see that whole thing like evaporate at the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and especially it would have killed them because you're 3-6 now, and this is sort of what you have, not what you have left, but like this is like a big upset, is what you would be satisfied with, and so it's really tough that they this, and also if I was a Penn State fan, I'd be really frustrated. I'd be like, where was this team all season? Because I feel like if they played like this most of the time, like they would be 1 or 2 loss max team right now. So, well,
a couple people commented on one of our past videos saying it all was the Oregon loss. It gutted them. They are actually this good, or they and in the Oregon game they took them to overtime. They could have won that game. It's not like Oregon ran away with the game. So, and so one person's opinion was that killed their spirits, and this team is this good. They just, after the Oregon lost their spirit and lost their fight. And then the fight came back here. To your point, maybe they were thinking, okay, we can't go to the Big Ten championship game, but we're sure as hell going to try to get in Indiana's way. And then the Heisman drive happens. So anyways, Penn State, a lot of good players. A bunch of these players are going to the NFL. I mean, it's still 4- and 5-star talent all over that team. And we'll see what happens next year with whoever's the coach, but it's not like the cupboard's bare. They're going to be fine next year. It doesn't matter who's going to be in there. I'm sure this team will be looking pretty good next year.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Penn State fan, you're really excited for Grunkmeyer. because like that guy, he seems legit, and so
Mhm.
that's a huge piece. He's going to get some experience now at the last couple of games, so you'll be excited for him starting next year.
Yeah, for sure. And then for IU, I mean, holy smokes! That they needed, maybe they needed this game, like a game
Mm,
where it was even the Oregon game, they were kind of in control of that game the whole way, and that's a
yeah.
great team that they just controlled.
Mm,
Here, they were up against it, and especially the way Penn State took all the momentum away from them in the
yeah.
last 20 minutes of the game. Like that's if a team was gonna like fold up, this was the style of game that would fold a team up because it's at home in at Happy Valley. The crowd was going bananas. It
Hmm.
You could see it's like, oh my, I mean, everyone watching felt the momentum. You're like, oh my God, they can't do anything. My note here in the somewhere in the fourth quarter is IU can't pressure the quarterback, cannot stop the run, cannot stop play action pass. IU is collapsing on both offense and defense is literally the note I have here. It's just because
Hmm.
it's just one thing after another, and that was right after the interception with the back-to-back touchdowns.
Hmm.
And even an IU fans like, oh my God, this is the wave. We're just being drowned in this wave, and then they come right back. So that was a ton of grit. It's probably great. It's probably going to be great fodder for Signetti to say, like, look, you can never let up. B, you can
Hmm.
never take any competition lightly. It doesn't matter what their record is. So anyone can get you. But
Hmm.
then C, you showed the grit to come back.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Like it's for them to be so behind in the momentum there, but to get it done at the end really says something about the team. And you're right about not letting up and not letting another team back in because they've got Wisconsin next, and Indiana will be heavily favored against them. But just ask Washington you don't want to overlook Wisconsin. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that'll be really important for them just with this couple games left here. So to really get them ready for the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah. So even though that was a scare, it's probably good for IU moving forward.
Hmm.
Just remind them you can't take it. And yeah, you're right. Wisconsin just clipped a team that no one expected them to beat. So
Yep.
I would be surprised if they overlook anybody at this point. Not that they ever were, but this is just and Signetti's good at like finding ways to. He's always bringing up a stat about every team. Apparently, with Maryland, he was finding whatever Maryland was good. He's like, no, these guys are number one in the second down efficient, whatever it was, right? But he's just trying to find any way to pump up the other team.
Right.
So, well, good for
That's
Indiana.
funny.
That was wild. That's Mendoza's Heisman moment. I don't know if I've yet to see anyone in the running to have a moment like that so far.
Yeah. And it's the moment is like the game-winning touchdown pass, but it's also that drive. Like that was really impressive.
Well, when I say moment, I mean the drive. Like it was him. He
Yeah.
was just throwing dots the whole way down the field, under duress the whole way,
Hmm.
starting off with a sack. So good for Mendoza, good for IU, and like you said, Grunkemeier's that's not bad future if that's the guy that's going to be there for next year. So
Hmm.
even in a loss, that was there's something to be positive about for Penn State too. All right,
Hmm.
that's all I got on my notes. You got all your notes?
Yep.
All right. So, well, if you're still with us, we appreciate you checking out our video. We know our channel's small. We just started it last year. So if you'd like to support us, a like and a subscribe would go a long way, and we'd super appreciate it. So for Jeff Dover, I'm John Barbin, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.